I now declare the August 26, 2021 BZA meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is roll call, please.
All right. Jeff Fisher.
Here.
Carrie Steele. Carrie Steele. Carrie Steele. Yep. Bill Crawford.
Here.
Leota King, not present. Darren Price.
Here.
Jeff Westling.
Present.
Bill McDaniel, present. Beverly Rude, absent. We have a quorum.
Okay, and we don't have any of these minutes probably, right?
No, we do not have any minutes because it's
I figured that.
it was something unavoidable for Bev.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have a public hearing, petition number 15356. It involves 4 different variances. We'll open it for public comment and have you come up and discuss what your plans are first.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, board members. My name's Barry Accountis. I'm with Woda Cooper Companies. We are a developer, we're a general contractor, we are property management, and we are long-term owners of senior and workforce housing. What we want to talk about tonight is your recommendation or your approval for the variances, as Mr. McDaniel spoke very well of. And these variances will allow us to move forward with the project.
Okay.
And
Continue.
before I go on, Mr. Chairman, I would love to show you and the board a quick video of Woda Cooper Companies as a representation of who we are, and then a very short PowerPoint of the Almond Crossing project, with your permission, sir.
Yep, that'd be fine.
Columbus, Ohio.
From a mission standpoint, our company is committed to providing high-quality, affordable housing, both to the communities that we serve as well as the residents who live in our communities.
Affordable housing comes in many different forms, and we do anything from a townhouse project to a substantial rehabilitation of an existing apartment complex, to adaptive reuse of an old building and giving it a new use, to large 2, 3, 4-story buildings with elevators. We cover the whole gamut.
Top
We're kind
race,
of breaking the mold and showing people that affordable housing, buildings are nice, we have good amenities, and we have a really nice community. I think that sets us apart from even some of the market rate apartments in the area.
There's a housing shortage everywhere, especially here in the city, and affordable housing
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
almost non-existent. So when I stumbled on Grandview Place, I couldn't have been more delighted.
They have 21 apartments allotted for veterans in this building. I'm all over that alone, because they were really thinking of the veterans. I'm just grateful.
Every study that's ever done says that where people live helps really define what their life is like. And we can provide a small service by providing that high-quality housing and creating a community within that housing, because the connections that people make with other people are just critical to their happiness.
That's on Lake Erie, east of Cleveland.
I've actually met almost everyone in my building, and everybody is super, super nice to me, and that's probably the best part. And that's what makes it home.
When my son comes to
This is
visit,
Eminence, Kentucky,
I feel
south of
proud that he's
Louisville.
pulling up into a nice driveway, beautiful landscaping, a really beautiful building that's clean and neat and well kept. It's a source of pride for me.
We always go into a project understanding that we're going to be long-term property owners who are going to be long-term providers to a community.
This is Portland, Michigan, rehab of an old
Creating or
school.
building a new beautiful building is something that's really not the challenge. The challenge is coming back 5 years later to look at, well, what has this done? What has been the impact on the community and the property values? So they had a good reputation. Never proper management.
why I really enjoy working for Woda.
Back in Columbus.
Because the emphasis is the end users. The residents are going to live here for decades to come. We tailor the project to plan for their comfort and meet their energy needs for well into the future.
I don't know what you could want that is not here in this one.
This is Utica, Ohio.
I just love it here. It is an ideal place to live.
One of our very early communities, my grandmother was a resident. It has really helped me understand what a resident is thinking about, the expectation of a resident, and I always give it the grandma test. Just as I wanted to provide her the best experience I could, I want to continue to do that for all of our residents.
Well, thank you for allowing me to show you that is a YouTube video. Woda Cooper, we are based out of Columbus, Ohio. We have a few satellite offices, one in Indianapolis. We are in 16 states. We have about 16,000 units. We house about 30,000 people every evening, and it's over about 375 communities. Jeff Woda, one of the principals, been in business since '89. I've been in this business for 31 years. I've been with Woda for 11, and enjoyed every minute of it. So without further ado, Mr. Chair, I'd like to take you through Almond Crossing, you and the board. This is a building rendering, of course. Haven't built this building yet. The rendering was done for a property we're doing in Des Moines, Iowa. It's the 3-story L-shaped building. Won't be exactly looking like we don't know what the colors are going to be, but that was the color for that rendering. I told you we had 375 properties. We have 17 in Indiana. We have 2 under construction, and 2 more are getting ready to jump off the drawing board into the ground. I'm sure you guys all know 3135 Virginia Avenue, the Herb Buildings. I know it's known locally. 1.3 acres. We have a contract to purchase the property from the hospital via a court decision because they're going through a liquidated bankruptcy. Well, it's not a bankruptcy, but a liquidated sale. I need to say that right. The site plan is in your package, but I wanted to point out a couple things. And first off, I don't know if you guys can see that. My eyes aren't good anymore. Right now, the site is 100% impervious surface. It's all blacktop building. There's no dirt. You can't find dirt here. It's all covered. Post-development, for what we want to do, we're going to reduce the building footprint, and we're going to reduce the overall asphalt. We've got, where to show that? In the bottom, and you can see it on your screen, or on the handouts, the bottom will be of the site plan as a landscape feature. We don't know if it's going to be rocks where the water can go through. Maybe it's grass. We'll put some trees in there for sure. We're going to do the same thing on the north end between the building and the lot line. Staggered the trees, and then up front we also put some more grass pieces in, or some green space with some more trees. Overall, we're going to reduce the amount of impervious surface. Thus, we won't have the stormwater runoff. We have as much as it has now, let's say. We've been in contact with Connorsville Utilities. Mr. Bottomley has been great to us, very communicative. We have an idea of where the storm sewer is now in the parking lot. Based on the Public Utilities manual for stormwater, we actually would not be required to treat the water, but we're not exactly sure if that's going to pan out. We are prepared to store the water underground for stormwater treatment purposes if we need to. So we're hopeful that we don't have to do that. It's expensive, but we are prepared for it. The things we like a lot about the property, again, 1.3 acres, not a lot of room to move. Every square foot is almost accounted for here. But our buildings for our 55 and older crowd, we have secured building entrances. Everybody must have a key fob to get in the building. We've got a private dog walking area on the top, the northwest corner of the site. We figured out a way we can get a good 6 foot high, maybe a vinyl privacy fence to give the folks some privacy with their dogs. Put some benches back there and those kind of things. we're going to put park benches all over the place. We believe it's such a walkable community. Well, we know it, we can see it. We love the location. We think we could be bikes probably be used quite a bit here. We're going to provide some interior bike storage and some exterior, some bike racks. The site will be fully accessible. The site, the building, it's a 3-story elevator building. As far as handicap accessibility, the ADA, the barrier-free pathways, every unit will have that. And we're going to put trees and grass where there's no trees and grass there now. We believe that the spot is ideal for senior property. I mean, you could walk to anything except Walmart. Maybe on a good day you could make it to Walmart. I've been talking to the city. They have plans for a future public walkway through some of the ground, but I don't know when that's going to happen. But that's the only thing that we're missing. Almond Crossing is going to be 18 one-bedrooms, 32 twos. I won't read you the rents, but you can see those, and those are our minimum square footage, what we would start off with. The apartments are going to have the most modern market rate feel. You can believe that the finishing touches on our property, they're just terrific. Dishwashers, microwaves, central heat and AC, all the standard amenities you would expect in a brand new apartment these days. The building, we're going to have a fitness center in there, a computer room. It's going to be a green build design, have a community gathering space. It has a kitchenette, and they can have parties and things like that. And we will have an on-site management and on-site and our maintenance as well. And that's it. I wanted to be brief and to the point, and that's what we have. The variances is we're requesting 50 units makes this work financially. Without the 50 units, it will not cash flow. So we had to go up. We're violating, well, we need the variance for the height, some of the setbacks, and the parking spaces. Most of our senior developments have one per apartment in the seniors. Not all of them drive. And most of them are just single occupancy households. We wouldn't ask for these variances if we didn't need them and can make it work. The last thing we want to do is build a property that does not have adequate parking. I don't think we've done that yet in the properties that we've done in all the states we've worked in. So we're asking for these variances so we can build on that 1.34 acres, get the units we need, and to service the residents and the community. And that's how the variances came about.
Now that west side, I know that you said on the northwest side, you were doing the dog park. I couldn't really see a picture that good, but
I'm sorry.
In the paperwork. But what's going to be below that going south on that west side?
Well, there'll be a dog park probably down about half the L. I think we have the fence right there.
Okay.
This will all be green space, sir. This area here, bike racks, park benches and stuff like that.
Okay.
There'll probably be a few dogs walking back there before you know it.
Okay.
That's what that piece is. These are the sidewalks, obviously. And again, here's the landscaped area here. Then the grass area is on the front and the back. And we have the dumpsters, an exterior maintenance shed to
Okay.
store stuff like that, and stuff we need for the maintenance.
All righty, thank you, sir.
You're welcome, thank you.
Okay. Oh, hey, Barry, could you explain a little bit more about the the height, why, the height relative to it, the needs that you have. So I assume that it's still going to be, say, with it isn't going to be a flat roof, so you need actually the additional feet for that.
We found over the last, everyone who's built anything over the last year, whether it's a deck to an apartment building, construction costs just went through the roof. They are coming down, thankfully. The flat roof is cost prohibitive. We did one on another property and it just, so the pitch roof is how that came about, Bill, and thank you very much for asking.
Yeah, okay. So I take it part of that's because if it's going to be a flat roof, you'd probably have to have a steel roof system.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And and then again, to get those 50 units under that roof line, we ran out of space. We had to keep going up a little bit.
Yep.
So anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Steve?
Steve Walker, representing Fayette County Farm Bureau. I don't quite understand on his map, what's the south side? Can you point that out?
Yes, sir.
Down.
The south side of the lot is a landscaped area here. The farm bureau officer, I think that's what you're referring
Yes.
to. The lot line there now comes all the way up to the edge of these parking spaces is what we have found so far.
Mhm.
So unfortunately, if we were approved and we move forward, we'd probably have to do some redirection right there because we need every square foot unless there's a variance. These folks might be able to give me if it's a deal killer. But unfortunately, that's how it worked out. I didn't believe it either, sir. I looked at that twice and it's unfortunate that it's right, that those parking stripes are right up against that lot line.
Parking stripes, our parking stripes?
Yes, sir, your parking stripes pretty much end where the lot line starts.
Okay. Now, will there be enough room between our building sidewalk and your property line to drive cars through there?
I would assume so. I haven't measured it, but it looks like it would. It looks like at one point, you know,
Okay.
you need a little extra space and needed more parking spaces. But yeah, in my mind, and I'm not an engineer, sir, I always perceived that this was a drive-through and people either parked in the back or parked in the front.
We own behind the building
Okay.
on the west side. So that's really no problem. I'm just concerned, I want to make sure that we can drive through there because their employees and sometimes even the customers might have parked back there because right now we've got at least one handicap spot, I think on the north side of our building and one in front. So we're going to have to move one of the handicap spots around to the front, which is going to cut down our parking in front to, I think, one parking space plus two handicap. And so there's going to be a green space with trees separating.
Yeah, we don't know if it's going to be green. It could be gravel, just, you know, to keep the
Okay.
maintenance going on.
It won't be a fence or anything like that.
No, it'd just be a curb, just to
Okay.
contain it. And,
Okay.
sir, if I may, if we are fortunate to get approved tonight, and we get out there and we find that you don't have enough room, we would grant you a variance and access easement, if we had to maybe slide ours up a little bit to make sure that we don't cause any harm to our neighbors. That's the last thing we want to do.
We can come in, we have an entrance from the west, like for our board meeting and stuff, we could open that gate. Originally, we put a gate up there, we found we had people zipping through there too fast, and we put a gate up to prevent that. Otherwise, I have no, you know, I don't have any problem with it. I think it's wonderful that you're coming into Connersville. We need the housing. Would I like to see a building go up with 200 new jobs? Yeah, I'd like to see that, but we do need the housing. So that was my concern. Will we have enough room to drive through there?
I give you my word tonight, sir, in front of the board and public, that we will work with you to make sure you can still have access there, no matter what.
Okay, that was my concern. Otherwise, I'm all for it, and I'm sure that the Fayette County Farm Bureau Board would be all for it.
Good.
I mean, what's there now is kind of a nice one. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, sir. All righty, any other comments?
I would like to make a comment.
Okay.
Brian Durham, 2205 Ohio Avenue. We actually started working with Wilda Cooper on this project almost 2 years ago. Right, or last September? It's been a while. So it's been a long time working on this project. And I would hate to see the project not go through because of our parking regulations that we have that we know are excessive. And we are working to change that. Obviously, the APC is working to reduce that, possibly even eliminating it, because the people building know how much parking they need. We shouldn't be dictating to them how much parking that they need. I think they know, and that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your comments. Okay. No other comments? All right, I'll take a motion to close the discussion on this.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Okay, now if you would consider each one of the variances individually, and then after those to the special exception.
Okay. All righty, all those in favor of closing the public portion of this, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, Motion carries. Okay, variance number 1 is decrease the parking spaces from 100 down to 50 parking spaces. Any discussion on that? All right,
I'd like to make a motion to accept that.
okay.
I'll second that.
Motion made and properly seconded to approve the variance number 1, the decrease of parking spaces from 100 to 50. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, variance number 2 is to increase the maximum height from 35 feet to 40 feet.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
Any discussion before that? No? Okay, all right. Got a motion made to accept variance number 2, which is increase the height from 35 to 40 feet.
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Variance number 3 is to increase, wait a minute, my eyes are not focusing good tonight.
You're getting old, man.
No, it's these glasses actually. That's another story. Increase the setback from 25, increase the setback from 25 to, I guess it's decreased,
Yep.
to 15 feet, from 25 feet. It's on the east side, right?
Yeah, that would be the, the north side of the building.
On the
Virginia Avenue
Virginia
side.
side.
Yeah.
And like was mentioned, we'll discuss it first. Okay. Any discussion?
The only question I have, and because I have a hard time visualizing like in my head, putting a wall there, is that one entrance there, with the way the road curves around there, is that going to cause any, does traffic would be coming from the north down, as far as sight for traffic coming in and out of there, is that going to cause any?
One thing that was mentioned in this is that they're going to have a sidewalk out there. So I think that takes up, what, 15 feet?
Yeah, it would place it, the edge of the building would probably be between 20 and 25 feet actually from the edge of the road. Yeah. So
I don't foresee that being a problem.
Okay.
Okay,
I don't either.
motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the change.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and properly seconded to decrease the setback on the Virginia side from 25 feet down to 15. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, variance number 4 is, let's see, this is the one.
yeah, increase
yeah,
the maximum lot coverage.
Yeah, we're going to increase the lot coverage from 50% up to 69%. And actually, well, I'll say that during the discussion, they're actually going to be increasing the permeable surfaces so that you'll have more drainage into like the green spaces. So actually, when we say we're going to increase the coverage, it's actually going to decrease the coverage of the concrete.
Of what's currently there, yeah.
Right.
So, so the building is gonna cover more of a percentage of the property, is that right? Okay.
That's right.
Yeah,
But you're going to have more.
So what will happen is that by allowing them to have it at 69%, allows the property to be redeveloped. It's also going to increase the impermeable surface, which will also help cut down on the amount of storm water entering. And if I'm not mistaken, I suspect that that's probably also an area where there's probably still combined sewer. So I know the city's been working aggressively to reduce the combined sewer overflows. And I think this might be one of the ones that's still combined sewer.
So it's actually going to help that situation.
Right.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second it.
Okay. Got a motion made and properly seconded to increase the building what do you call it? The maximum coverage from 50% up to 69%. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. So, that's the last one, right?
Yep, now it's on the next page is for the actual special exception.
All right. And that's just to change it from,
Well, this is the one for the actual project.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. We got a
This
special.
this is the one to approve the multifamily housing.
Okay. All right, this is a special exception. We're asking to approve the multifamily housing on that lot. Any discussion? Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve that.
okay. Motion
I'll
made and properly seconded to approve the special exception. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members, and the coaching and counseling I got before the meeting. Thank you very, very much.
And Steve, we do have that on tape that he promised you he'd help you.
Absolutely. I'm gonna have my card, sir, before I get out of here.
Yeah, could we get a copy of your site plan?
Absolutely. I get your email when we get out of here.
Okay.
Okay. And then director's report.
Yep, and that was in the handout I gave everybody.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, a series of handouts this evening.
I'll take a motion to approve the director's report.
I'll make a motion to approve the director's report.
Second it.
Yeah.
All right, motion made and properly seconded to approve the director's report as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And you probably noticed there's the increase in the number of inspections. And this month has also been particularly busy. It's
That's why
the,
people moving.
yeah, well, I'm about 3/4 of the way through the third sheet. So, yeah, so I'll probably be pushing 60 sites for this month. Visits.
Okay.
So, it's good and bad.
Yeah. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Motion made to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Closed.
2026 area planning meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mr. Director.
Okay. Bill Mackey,
Present.
Dale Munson,
Present.
Bob Stewart,
Present.
Gary Naylor,
Present.
Brian Durham,
Present.
Leota King, absent, Darren Price,
Here.
Brian Robb,
Here.
Darrell Drew,
Present.
Jeff Wessling,
Present.
Bill McDaniel, present, Beverly Rude, absent.
Okay, I'm assuming we don't have minutes for June,
No, we do not.
July, or April. Okay, so we will table those until September. Projects, the CFO amendment or ordinance. All of you should have received an email this week outlining what we can and can't do for the CFO ordinance as passed by the commissioners. Restate those options. We can move to publish that ordinance and reject the city's amendments. We can revote on those amendments as we did not have a majority of votes during last month's meeting. Or we can choose ourselves to restart the process. We have that option if we would like to restart the process. Does anybody have any thoughts on the matter? I know earlier today, Mr. McDaniel sent out his recommendation, which was to publish the ordinance.
Yeah, and I think that an advisable course of action is because at this point is that we're probably going to have to go through, I would suggest that between the city and then with the county commissioners is, because if we don't have something, okay, commissioners and city council, okay, coming up with what will be amenable language for both bodies. And I think that would be a more reasonable process because otherwise because if what would be sent to the county commissioners is objectionable to the county commissioners, we're still stuck in the cycle. And I think the advisable thing, from my perspective, is that to move to publish because if we vote to say yes on the city council, it's still not going to affect the county. So it's or if the majority votes no, well, it goes back to the city council, they go ahead and re-vote, and then theirs is in place. So I think of it sort of as, say with Congress and the Senate, with a legislation reconciliation, might be one way to look at it. Because if we don't have some common ground between the two bodies before we start, we can keep going and going and going and going. I don't think anybody really wants that, either the city council, the plan commission, or the county commissioners. But those are just my thoughts with it. And I don't know if Mr. Westling, as our attorney, has anything to add to that, or...
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I think the president did a good job of explaining what the options are tonight.
Yep.
I think it needs to be noted that the commissioners passed it based on the fact that they wanted the city council to look at it and make the changes, to pass it on to them to make the changes they felt were best for the ordinance. That's why they voted 2-1 to pass it on to the city council. As accepted as it was, it may not have gotten past the commissioners.
Well, I think since the commissioners actually adopted theirs before the city council did, because...
They adopted changes to it?
No, they did not adopt the changes. We're at a point where what the county commissioners adopted, okay, in order to, because they voted on that. And
Just send it on
this
to
this is
city
the move,
council.
this is the move to publish what the county commissioners adopted. Because in order then for the commissioners to change, we have to go back through this whole public hearing process, re-advertise, republish, reproduce an ordinance amendment. So that would be a way to, then after that is, because right now we're gonna have one with the city and one with the county. That's not ideal, but it does happen in other places with area plan commissions. It's not the perfect setting. So like I said, it was 2-1 with the commissioners as they voted, and I think, Commissioner Munson, if your feelings on that, when you guys voted to adopt it?
I think I'm not speaking for the other two,
Yeah.
but
Oh, absolutely.
I feel that it was a pretty good system that it needed to go through, and we got to protect the farmers in the community, and to me, that's what we're doing, is helping protect them.
Yep.
We gotta protect the community and the farmers sometimes too, Dale.
I understand that.
I will.
But the farmer has a right to make a living.
That works both ways.
If I may, I do want to add one thing though. Last meeting, we voted on the amendments from the city.
Yep.
I think our rules of procedure dictate that we have not decided those because we have not found the majority. So
Yeah.
we didn't vote against or for any of those amendments. We need to clean that up tonight. Either way you go, we have not done that so far.
Well, what's amazing to me is the last one, we got 4-3 on it, and that was something that's already on the books that you put on there.
But the 4-3
Haven't changed
is not a majority of the entire
It
board.
doesn't make any difference. We had
Yes, it
3
does.
no
Legally it
votes on
does,
an
Bob,
amendment you've
legally
already
it does
approved.
make legally it does make a difference.
yeah,
It means it's a moot. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything having a 4-3. You need a
I
5.
know that, Bill.
Okay.
You're talking to choir on that.
Okay.
I'm just saying 3 people voted against something that's already been passed as part of the amendment, so you didn't get 5 votes.
Yep.
Because you didn't want the public to voice their opinions again.
So I guess the first thing then is
I'm not following that, Bob.
You told us before we started that last vote, if there's 5 votes on this, you'll have to take it back through the process. So 3 guys decided not to vote on it, so we wouldn't have to go back through the process. And it was an amendment that was already on the books that you guys approved. That was the one 1/4 mile from any residence. That's already there.
So the 3 amendments were increasing the setback distance from a residence from 1/4 mile to 1620. 1 mile separation distance from the city of Connorsville and the town of Glenwood. And the third is escaping me.
public
Public
use
use.
areas.
Public use areas.
It was 1 mile from public
You
use.
said we
area.
voted 5-2 on one?
No, you voted 4-3 on all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that's a non-vote. It doesn't matter which way it
I
was.
understand that, but that last one, I would have thought it had gone 7-0 because it's already on the books. We all approved that, basically, in the first place.
I don't remember what that one is.
That was the one, 1,250 feet from any single-family residence.
Which is what's in it, which is what the county commissioners adopted.
But if you gotten 5 votes, then the whole thing would have had to go back and forth for public hearing, and we don't want the public to know what's going on. Let's keep it within here. So that just makes sense to me. I'm sorry. It just didn't.
So,
Either way though, Bob, just to make sure we're clear, those amendments that the city recommended, none of those did we actually, we had a motion, we had a proper second, but we did not make a proper vote either way. So those are all on the table tonight.
Yeah.
Every one of those
Our
are
rules
on the
and
table tonight.
procedures.
Does that make
say-
sense? I want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Yeah, but if we
Well,
don't
they're
have
on
them.
the table tonight, that makes sense. But just like the one a mile in the city, we all sit here and agreed with David Nutty that we don't want to mess up our aquifer and that need to be a mile away, and then still 3 votes no on it. That just didn't make sense to me at all.
okay. All right. So I guess the course of action is, well, since we have to clean that up first, is first thing we do is to, make a motion and then a vote on what to do about the city council amendments, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Can I combine some things?
Sure.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we reject at this time the city's proposals and that we go forward with publishing the current ordinance and through sitting with the commissioners and listening to the city council's requests that we at a later date enter into possibly amending the ordinance under those setback requirements from the city. I think that was the main concern that they had, was the mile buffer. And I think most of us agree that we're willing to sit down and look at that at some point in time. And I think it makes, I agree with Bill that it makes a cleaner, it makes it cleaner if we go ahead and publish and then come back and do an amendment at a later time for that purpose only.
Yep.
So I guess my motion would read that I move that we publish the ordinance as approved by the commissioners and reject all proposals as a city council at this time.
Okay, so we have a motion to publish the ordinance and reject amendments from city council. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dale Munson. Gary Naylor. Roll call vote?
Okay.
Is there any more discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah, is there any more discussion? Seeing none, a roll call vote?
Okay, Bill Mackey?
Yes.
Okay, Dale Munson?
Yes.
Bob Stewart?
No.
Gary Naylor?
Yes.
Okay, Darryl Drew?
Yes.
Okay,
Darren? Oh, did you say Brian?
oh, I said Brian.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Brian Robb? Nope. No. Darren Price?
No.
Okay. Brian Durham?
Yes.
Okay, that is a vote of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 3. You had a quorum and it's 5 to 3. It'll be sent back as rejection and then moved to publish.
Yep. And the motion carries. Moving on to zoning code. I did send everyone a copy of a solar ordinance. There is a meeting in the not so
Next month, Gary may not be able to attend, but if Dale can attend, that'd be good, because also being a county commissioner, you showed an interest, and I'm certainly interested, so we can make arrangements to go up to that. And then, so if anybody else is interested, I can see what we can need to do about getting multiple people signed up.
I think we're.
Okay, was it the 16th, Gary?
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I think it's September 16th. 16th, it's up in Muncie.
At the Muncie Mall. Is there like a venue at the Muncie Mall now?
Ball State must have an office there or something.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. I
Yeah,
thought
so
it was
if,
a location, but.
Yeah, so if anybody that isn't certain yet, but if anybody,
September 16th from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m.
okay. All right, 8:30 to 3:30, September 16th in Muncie.
There's no cost for the workshop. So
No fee. Okay.
reservations are due by September 13th.
Okay, SVP by 9/13. Okay. So I'm not going to be in the office tomorrow. That's have some things I have to do with the contractor at the house. And so if anybody is interested, please go ahead and let me know by the end of next week. And I'll take care of making the reservation for everybody who's interested. And then we can work on transportation. Okay.
I did want to talk briefly about this particular solar farm and facilities. This deals primarily, almost actually exclusively with utility grade solar systems. It does not include anything about solar for your house or business. Those would also have to be added to an ordinance. While they are permitted as an accessory use by right now, we don't say that verbatim. And it makes it ambiguous as to what that actually looks like. The intent of this is to, similar to that of the windmills, to set standards for building a utility in Fayette County. Kind of as it sits right now, there aren't really rules right now for building utility grade solar in Fayette County. And we look to change that, to make it so that the rules are set in place. One of the things in here that particularly, as we're going to talk about in our next agenda item, is the permit fee. Obviously, I have a permit fee written in here. I asked that in our next discussion under the solar energy that we
Move it over there.
yeah, into the red in that, and that fee would be a $10,000 non-refundable fee plus a $1,750 per megawatt hour fee. As things improve over time, as technology improves, you'll need less square footage to achieve the same megawatts. So ideally, what now takes 1,000 acres to achieve on a megawatt power, in the future, that number will be drastically, hopefully, reduced, that you can produce more on less, and we don't have to rely on that as the standard for permit fees.
Yeah, because the other things that would be included would be the bond requirements, the requirements for discontinuing the farm, then the agreements that would be necessary, because such as with the wind ordinance, there need to be things in place as far as road use agreements with the county. So if there's going to be anything run in the right of way, what the county commissioners will need to do to actually approve, say, making use for the transit, anything that would be used in the county right of way. So that'll be a good opportunity for us to learn about what's being done. And I think good opportunities because, for example, I know with Marshall County, they've had multiple, when I last spoke with the planner a few months ago, they've had to, and they're going through they're going through another special exception at that time. So I think that'd be a good one to learn of what they might have changed, what the problems are, what to expect.
And when we first talked about this a year ago, right around, one of the things not included that is now included, damage to roads, removal requirements, bond requirements, and then who has the right to enforce
So there's
the regulations within here. And I'll be honest, it is heavily borrowed from that of Marshall County, which is why I'm glad to go on September 16th to talk to the folks from Marshall County.
Yeah, so it's, theirs is online, but if anybody would like me to send them a link in the meantime, I'd like to get everybody, the Marshall County ordinance, because I know I did it previously when we discussed it last year. I'd like to go ahead and get everybody, fresh connection to it. But, it is, and when you talk with, it's one of those ones where it is considered, by among the planners in Indiana, probably the best solar ordinance. Some have very, very, very small, try to be too short, and it really doesn't protect you if it's too short. There are some other ones that have tried to, there's just too much stuff there. That gets in a lot of extra things. And I think Marshall County does a pretty good job because they hewed pretty closely to the Indiana model solar ordinance.
Brian, under height limitations,
It's either 20 or 30.
Yeah.
Which is it? You said-
Oh, well, it should be 30.
Okay.
Yeah, well, because another thing we to take into consideration is that, well, for example, you probably want to increase the height, because if you look at, it's probably been, pushing a decade ago. There's a solar farm, and, because, everybody's concerned about, we'll take it out of any kind of production. Well, we're gonna have to plant cover crops, we're gonna have to plant this. Now, an option is always there, because there are solar farms in Germany where they set the base height at its lowest point for the panels as they rotate. But what they do is that it's set at an elevation where those fields are also used for pasture. So,
And that's what I meant.
yeah, exactly. So if we can use it for pasture, well, of course, it'd be a higher height, but then that would allow for a little more other use without it being taken out of any type of agricultural production, which could actually be beneficial.
Diversify our agriculture.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Diversify our agriculture.
Yeah, exactly, because that'd be beneficial for, I think, for people with the livestock industry.
Brian, I had two questions that number one, I don't think under the permits, Fayette County has a stormwater ordinance.
Correct.
So I don't know how we're gonna address that language due to the fact that the commissioners don't have an ordinance in place. Number two, I'm not sure if I understand this right, the setback from a property line is 30 feet.
Correct.
I guess my concern is I'm not sure that that's far, it may not be far enough away from residential homes that are in ag zoned areas. I think our windmill ordinance was 1,400 feet from a structure, I believe it's
Yeah,
worded.
yeah, from a dwelling.
I'm not sure 1,400 feet's necessary, but
Well, actually, ours was a quarter mile, but the 1,400 feet was voluntary on the part of.
yes, I stand corrected, yeah, that's right. But I'm not sure that kind of distance is not necessary, but I think more than, because if you've got a home that's sitting 20 feet away from their acre property line,
Right.
that means that solar panel could be within 30 feet of their home, or 50 feet of their home.
Yeah, so, well, and also I think one thing that would happen if you do have a little greater distance is if it is close to other dwellings, that would potentially offer some type of opportunity for some type of vegetative screening between the solar farm and then the dwellings.
Right.
Without then being of a height or a location where it could reduce the potential part of the solar farm.
I'm sure that the fence that is required in this ordinance, most companies will probably put up a chain link fence. Well, you know how pretty that is with your nice landscaped home.
Yeah.
Right up next to it. So I think that probably needs some type of addressing in there.
Yeah, I think a requirement of some type of vegetative screening, I think, would be preferable. It's much more pleasant to look at.
Yeah, and maybe the fence
on the other side.
On the other side of that vegetation.
Because they would want a fence for security purposes.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know how we.
Do you have an ideal number as to what that?
I don't know. I don't know, 500 feet from a dwelling?
Yeah, but that might be one is, if you
530, is that half of a quarter mile? Is that an eighth of a mile? 530 feet?
Yeah.
I'm trying to do math.
Yeah.
I think.
But, well, I think that,
but if you put it from the dwelling and not
the property
not the property line, then the dwelling.
I think that would be better.
So you could have both. You could have 30 feet from a property line and 530 feet from any structure.
Yeah.
Something like that.
From only primary
Residential
structure or all
Dwelling.
structure?
That's up to you guys.
Would you suggest all, or what'd you say?
500 feet from here, it's a 1250. Well, hold on.
It's up to you guys.
Well,
I mean, I would have a property line setback and a structure setback.
Yeah,
because, well, that's what the wind farm also had.
yeah.
But, yeah, because, for example, anybody who doesn't go to is unable to go to the meeting, but there are questions you'd like us to try to find out answers for, provide those to us also, whoever goes, so we can try to see if we can get some answers to
Well, I think
any
this would be a
concerns.
great
I think so.
question. I mean, has that been addressed? Or have they run into dealings with residents and so on and so forth? But
Yeah, because I think one aspect of that would also be if, with various distances, is visiting some sites to see, okay, various distances away from the dwelling of just how visually intrusive they might actually be. Because we know if they're too close, they will be. But, so I think I think it would probably behoove us to get some members to take, visit some solar farms also.
And I don't know if that 500 or whatever you put down, Brian, is more than enough, but I'm not sure 30 feet from a property line is enough vegetation cover for it. So,
Yeah. But,
but
I think one thing that we can do is I think some of us to get a feel, we can also look and get a better feel for sight lines from the ones that, because it's on a rolling terrain, is the ones with the school, out there at the high school. So we get a feel for what sort of visibility we're dealing with there. So, and just imagine something a heck of a lot larger.
Daryl, maybe you know that number, but how far away are those panels from the residence to the west?
Not sure.
Guessing,
From the west?
Those houses that sit on Gray Road.
Maybe a block and a half?
Yeah, I'd guess that. I mean,
Be close.
the administration office sits between them,
Yeah.
so that helps shield it.
It's probably block and a half.
Yeah. Have you received did you receive any complaints from
I haven't
those
since I've been there, but no. I don't even think anyone's questioned it that I'm aware of yet.
Okay.
You're welcome to come up and we can measure it and take a look at it and see how far it is, just to get an idea of what it looks like.
I know it's more than 30 feet.
Right.
But
There's a road and then,
the administration building and then, and
well, as you go towards the career center, there's the road and then land between, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably a block and a half. More than 30.
yeah. So, I guess that would have been my concern was whether the school corporation got some grief from the neighbors or not. Because that may be far enough away.
Yeah, because the only people who contacted me before they built it were some people who were concerned over visual effects on their property before it was built. And nobody's really called me to complain about it since.
Right. Yeah.
Since we were the approving body.
I mean, if you're not careful, you can use that setback from a dwelling or as a deterrent for the solar farms. Because if you get it too far, then there's no cost-effective way for them to come to that particular property or whatever. So I don't know if we want to out and out deter the solar.
And I think that's another thing that adds, I think, some importance to this, moving this way up on the Plan Commission, my personal agenda, is that it was, I think, 2 days ago, I got a phone call from a solar company. And they were calling to look for what type of regulations we had and so on. And so it's like...
Well, I think there's some in the region
Yeah.
wanting to
Yeah. So
expand, so.
Yeah, and I think another one is then we can, and I think there's places we can learn from the battles that they've had also with, such as over in Shelby County. Then I think we can probably learn more from the unsuccessful wind farm, solar farms, than we probably can from those who've passed. And, because there's a lot of, just like a lot of things, there's a lot of comments that are made about impacts that aren't necessarily so. It's it's you throw it and see what sticks, which is the NIMBY aspect of things.
So once you go to this meeting, the 16th of September, Bill, you and some of the board members, if we come back our September meeting and put some ideas that you've received into the ordinance and whatnot.
Yes, Brian and I can work on it then.
Could we, in theory, hold a public hearing for the solar ordinance prior to our October regular meeting?
We'd be kind of pushing it because with the notification that the publication, we'd be kind of pushing it. But it's possible, but yeah. Okay.
In October, and put us at like
yeah,
whatever that third week of October is, sometime between the 16th and the 20.
Yeah, because it's.
Do you think it warrants a separate meeting from our regular monthly meeting? Is it going to involve the discussion?
Well, there will be discussion, but I think that is, if nothing else, if we can arrange the timing before the October meeting. If it's necessary to, say, continue, we can then make the arrangements and then have a continuance on a very shorter notice to match it.
Well, I guess I would be of the opinion and in favor of us trying to, at the latest, hold a public hearing on a solar ordinance for our regular, at
October 21st?
At least our regular monthly meeting of October.
October 21st.
Are you getting any pressure on wind farms?
No, I haven't heard anything about that. The only thing I got was I was informed that the Whitewater formally, they sent a letter that they closed it out. So the questions that we had and someone called was that, well, with them having closed it out, okay, because they're looking at a way to not have to go through public hearing again. But considering all the various agreements that were in place, I'm of, at least from a personal opinion and a professional opinion as a planner, that I think it's dead, and someone with a wind farm, they just can't pick up and continue with what next airdrop, because they're no longer the component, they're no longer a member to any of the agreements with the county.
Well, I work 6 counties and they're growing like crazy right now. Henry County, I'm seeing them there all over the place, and it's starting to, I used to be up further north, now I'm coming down here.
Yeah. So so other than that
Bill,
conversation.
Is NextEra holding on to the land leases? Maybe Dale, you can answer that.
Yeah, we haven't heard nothing from them.
Yeah. Because I had heard that NextEra was holding the land leases, hoping for possibly solar.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Yeah.
So that no one else could come in.
Yeah.
On those properties.
But
At gunpoint, basically. Because that contract, if I'm correct, doesn't allow you to lease with any other energy company.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, and I think one of the things, not being an attorney, is Actually, if I was a property owner, especially if it's a property owner that bought one of those properties and now has one of those on there, what? I would assume the language that was in the land agreements is probably pretty airtight to, with what constitutes abandoning the agreement.
How's that affect agriculture?
On the wind farms?
You still plow the field, you still?
Yeah, it takes a pretty minimal amount of air land out of, yeah. I think they estimate the land taken out for each individual one's, what, 2 to 3 acres, something like that.
And how much do they make off of each one of those? Are they leasing it?
It depends upon the agreements that the company makes. So, it's,
Those were all private.
yeah,
They were never announced public.
yeah, yeah, so. Yeah, and then they have the other agreements with then they have the agreements, the access agreements to run the, say, the underground cabling. So,
Transmission lines.
yeah, so there's a lot of things like that with it. So,
But prior to the September 16th Muncie meeting, discussion, if anybody has any changes to solar that, you know, they read through that and thinks it needs to change, feel free to send it to me and I'll change it in the ordinance.
okay, well, Brian, I think after that meeting, what you and I probably ought to do is sit down between the two of us and then go through it. Because I know you and I have some disagreements here and there about things that should or shouldn't be in it. But, so that way we can work through those.
Yeah, hopefully the two of you can create some type of a draft that we can discuss on our September.
Yeah,
meeting.
I think we can get a pretty reasonable draft. It's the,
Okay, so we'll plan for discussion in September and a public hearing in October. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, the fee schedule. So at the beginning of 2020, we agreed that one of the things that we would like to see is that our fee schedule be moved out of the zoning code and be a separate schedule approved by the county commissioners with our recommendation as to the fee schedule, and an increase in our fees as most haven't changed since at least 1993.
1993, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were probably underfunded at that point, yeah, insufficient at that time.
So our fees haven't changed much since 1993. Few exceptions to that have become, new fees that were added. For instance, the wind energy systems added, the
And signs are about it.
signs added, but a lot of the other fees have remained the same. In this draft here that Bill has put together, you're looking at 15-20% increase across the board, and justifiably so. We were looking at the fee, or the amount of permits that have been issued the last 2 years and up to date, what was that, about a month ago this year?
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's a lot. We've had, 8 in a single family dwelling, for which we have 18 permits issued this year. It's 12 site visits for every one of those. Not that every one of them has been built yet.
Potentially up
Yeah.
to 12 site visits.
But 12 site visits per each one of those. And we were getting fees around, it was $125-ish
Yeah.
for all 12 site visits that Bill was doing.
Okay.
And in this, the fee changes slightly. If you look at a single family dwelling, where the minimum square footage is 1,500 square feet, there's also a fee per inspection. So what was $125 is now $25 per inspection, additional to the $100. So the fee itself reduces, but you pay per inspection.
Yeah, because I think the key is finding what is the appropriate base fee, which is what is supposed to cover all the administrative, non-inspection costs, which would be the plan speaking with the individual property owner, and, then the cost of my time with every part of this. Now, and as I spoke with Jeff, emailed Jeff, and to really find a realistic cost to the county, is that for my time, it should be more than just the hourly rate of my salary. It should actually take into consideration all my costs to the county, such as health insurance. And Gary and Dale have a pretty good feel for how much extra cost there, and also Bob with each county employee. But I do save you money having a health savings account.
Yeah, it's something that,
But still, there's extra costs.
Yeah, there's extra costs.
just that we haven't changed in nearly 30 years.
It's comparable with other counties, these type fees.
Well, this gets into sort of the conversation. One of the things when Deb Legier, with that training session, is that you can't really do a direct comparison of Bay Shores upon the other counties, because you really need to understand what your individual costs are, because there'll be some variation, but there's going to be a lot more cost with others. And I think another question is what costs are really supposed to be covered. It's those covered with the inspections, those covered with the petitions, but how much really should be general fund without the cost, such as other services I do to people that I do for everybody, not special services. Because basically, no longer having everybody subsidize inspection services and petition services for everybody. Because right now the other taxpayers are subsidizing those costs.
And if you look at
This is more of a user fee.
Yes.
Exactly, which is really what we want to do.
If I use the building department, I should have to pay for it. I'm the one that should have to pay for that time.
Yeah. I mean, if you look ahead at our director's report to see the number of, building permits issued just in the month of July, we collected a total of $1,635.20 in fees. Based on that, adding, 20% to that, that's another $350 that would be added this month alone, just on that rough estimate of 20%.
But
But the base fees are pretty cut and dry as far as similar to other counties, what other counties are doing.
yeah, I can look a little
For
bit
the most
at
part.
others, yeah.
I mean, that could be similar.
Yeah, so that's become a little more common of a way of doing things. Your permit is so much, your certificate of occupancy is so much, and those are all built into what the fee is paid. So plan review is so much because you anticipate so much time. Okay, then the filing, the work that goes into doing the permit, the time that goes into actually filling out the permit. So all of those are figured in, and then then of course the inspections per type of project, which does lead me into, I had yesterday with the company I work for a permit software, and they do have some jurisdictions that in Indiana that do use the WTH software. So the program itself, these things we're talking about right now, the program would make it a lot easier for all these things figuring into. It just require revising, say, some things on the application. But it's also a way to, do permits electronically and make payments electronically. But one thing, they do have one of the companies they work with, so that the county doesn't get hit with the processing fee for the taking credit.
Right.
It's that there's the fee is then charged for the processing of the credit to the person with the permit. Then there's also possible ways to, and this would be, you do it with the permits, do it with the application, do it with petitions. Okay, it's also set up to where I can actually save time by going into the field on the inspections, because you will have inspection reports for it. Then if I find something wrong, out in the field, I can actually then send the email at that time back to the contractor and the property owner what the problem was on the inspection. Another thing we could possibly do, it's that, and we require some coordination with the city, and I sent an email to the mayor about it, is that, because I've had discussions with Brad Coulter about trying to streamline and as much as we can, one-stop shopping for permits. So if we do now what this would allow, they wouldn't necessarily pay me for the, say, okay, the fees associated with the stormwater, their tap fees or so on, but there's a way you could possibly set them up if, say, I work with, say, if the city has part of the same system, to where the fees can actually be, then they're applying for mine, then they go through, and then they can also then set up and automatically at the same time with the...
Any city.
Exactly, so then with the city, so we can streamline that particular process.
My line item is this, Bill. The fees that you charge, and you just heard, I mean, does that go into the area of planning for your use? Does it go into a general fund for you to use?
Everything that we do goes into the general fund.
But
and you decide how much
you
you
use that, or is that something that you get to draw from if you need it?
No, it actually goes back, I think it's required to go into the general fund.
It goes back to the county general, and then the council has the right to appropriate those monies where they need.
Wherever you deem necessary, yeah.
Well, I was understanding the general fund, I mean, it's this much money, but you can't just use that because it does have certain places it needs to go because it was put in by certain individuals. And I didn't know if that worked.
No, it's not set up, I don't think this could, it's not set up where something can be done as a say. Yeah, it doesn't work as a non-reverting fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you referring to the presentation by Kelly, the geospatial permitting, the online? Is that Kelly? Is that the guy?
Wasn't it Chad Watterson, Watterson, yeah, Chad Watterson, yeah.
So,
and he's from Connersville, ironically enough, or is he it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
is this draft ready to go to the commissioners?
Well, I just wanted input on all of you, so that, so next month, and we can then formally act on it to forward it to the commissioners. And Jeff, what would we need to do then to act, what action do we need to take on the fee schedule?
Well, it depends on how we want to handle it. It was my understanding that we at least discussed the fact that this would be a commissioner's resolution that they could kind of control, and then we would remove any fee schedule from our ordinance.
Once they adopt it.
Once it's adopted. So what that would be is, that would be two public hearings essentially. The commissioners would have a public hearing on the resolution for their fees, and then you guys, once they approve their fee schedule, then you guys would have to have a public hearing on essentially removing any fee schedule from our ordinance.
Okay, so the plan commission though would, since it's actually for since we're really not making a change to the zoning code or anything else, it doesn't require an actual code amendment public hearing.
No, it's just, at this point, what we need to do is make a recommendation, an informal recommendation, not a certified, but an informal recommendation to the commissioners to review and pass a resolution for a fee schedule if it is their desire.
Okay.
Resolution or ordinance, Jeff?
Resolution.
Okay, so do we need to then, other than say, if there's an inclination to vote on it now, or do we need to something a little more formal, say at the next plan commission meeting?
It's on the agenda fee schedule. You could do that tonight. That doesn't mean the commissioners will get to it by their next meeting, but you at least kind of let them know that's what you're thinking. You've kind of, to me, already done that.
Okay, so, because I wasn't certain if we needed to act on, say, an area plan commission resolution we resolve that this should be done for the county
Right, an actual
commissioners.
recommendation.
Because we can't, you're not adding it to you're not gonna add their fee schedule to your ordinance.
No,
You're just removing that, and you can't do anything with your ordinance until they have a fee schedule in place anyway, so.
okay.
As far as this draft, I think the only change would be to include the solar, the commercial solar,
Yeah.
from this into there.
As your attorney, that's for the county, my biggest fear is as far as fee schedule, it's great to have the 20% change. We've got to get something on the books in regards to solar, because right now, I think they'd have a $25 fee, and that just doesn't work for what Bill's time's going to be involved in something like that. I mean, he will involve, I mean, it's, for lack of a better word, it's like somebody building a building on 300 acres. I mean, you know, like, it will take a significant amount of time for him, and so those.
It would be $300.
Could
Yeah,
I?
$300.
could I
$300.
ask Jeff, from a legal standpoint, a solar company would, if they came to Fayette County tomorrow, they'd have to ask, it'd be go under a special exception.
No.
right?
No, we don't have anything.
We don't have anything under it
No.
right now.
So-
We don't have any.
So it could be put on that A1 or A2 property without, it's a permitted?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
what
I'm not willing to say yes or no to that, but yes, potentially, yes.
That'd be something that, definitely require research.
Well, we just need to, I don't want anything on the report, but we need to get stuff in place.
Yeah.
The fee's a big one to me. I mean, that's, you know,
So
we're gonna have somebody investing a ton of time into something where other communities are charging $100,000 and we're charging $300. Like, that's not.
Should we put a hold on, should the area planning, or can the area planning put a hold on the director to issue any solar permits?
You would have to do.
Temporarily?
You would have to do
Until we-
moratorium, but it'd actually have to be public hearing for it.
Well, it's not gonna be much quicker than going ahead and doing the ordinance. It's
This
kinda where
would
I'm-
probably be
We're so
faster.
close to, you know what I mean?
It's not something we can just make a motion tonight.
Right.
To stop any permits
Right.
for the next 6 months or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that would be the actual, the cost associated with it, and that also gives us time then that would be in place ideally at the same time, that would already be in place then by the time we would have the solar ordinance language prepared. Yeah.
Well, I guess
I would ask for I'm sorry, Gary, go ahead.
I would move that we ask the commissioners to consider this draft with the addition of the commercial solar fees.
Have that drawn in there?
As
Let me
a,
take that on there.
as a fee schedule for our building permits and building inspections. And ask them to possibly approve a resolution on their own, of their own fee schedule.
Yep.
With this draft.
I would second that.
And we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the motion carries. So we will send that to the commissioners for their consideration. The next item on the agenda is the director's report, which we've kind of already touched on.
If I could just say one thing real quick. It wasn't meant for the discussion right now, but what I had also in that packet was, parts of the accessory uses from out of South Bend. And if you look at it, not asking you to look at it right now, but South Bend has been particularly aggressive at simplifying a lot of parts of their zoning code. For example, the South Bend was, as Brian referred to at the Plan Commission, the zoning board meeting, was that the South Bend, they started one in, and they finally worked it down to where they eliminated, but they have a plan review process in place, a formal plan review process. But they eliminated the requirement for parking in the ordinance, but it's a matter of then actually approving the project and then making the project, justifying the requested parking spaces. Now, that might be a bridge too far for some people, but, you know, I mean, you know, it's a,
Right. Well, I just, you know, at least the last two people who have, you know, when we did the training, and I'm sorry, what was the lady's name who did
oh,
that was here for the training?
you know, Deb was here.
If you remember, when she said, if your BZA is always approving the change, maybe it's your ordinance that needs to change and not the,
Not the applicants.
yeah.
Yeah.
And parking is one of those things.
Yeah, because there's it's pretty much across the entire profession where there's downsizing, you know, the parking. Yeah. Especially when you also have concern with the, as was referred to with the parkings. Is that the, you know, problem with stormwater runoff. So, but, yeah. But, okay, but.
I would entertain a motion to approve the director's report.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Last item on the agenda is adjournment. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
No discussion?
Bob, you can stay as long as you want. I don't think anybody else is going to join
I also
you.
thought, no one discussed that
Do we have a motion? We still haven't adjourned, so do we have a motion to adjourn?
too. I'll make a motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries.
Bob, you didn't oppose.